There was silence in the chamber, save for the ancient holograms flashing hiss in the filtered light. Dust motes floated, ghostly reminders of a world long gone. And then the ghost of an elderly voice spoke a warning, one spoken as if by a spirit, too weary to hope, yet too burdened to remain silent. If people ever banded together in rage, they would leave the delegates and the stars behind. Some delegates shifted in their chairs, exchanging amused looks at the elder's grave warning. For decades, Zarnan's archives had held this message, accidentally uncovered, a decaying ancient transmission. Most of the data crystals had rejected it. Prophecies were for mystics, and humans were to them little more than unpredictable fringe cults. Dangerous? No, just peculiar. Theax, the Vanni's counselor, leaned back, coiled in his seat, voice heavy with disdain. Even among themselves, he sneered, humans quarrel, they can't even save their own species. His mocking laughter echoed faintly. No one in the assembly felt threatened by humanity. Earth was barely a century into galactic contact. They had restricted trade access, no council seats, no voting rights, no voice. They were seen as a curiosity, an anomaly in the grand equation of interstellar governance. But someone should have remembered the mining colony's warning. There was a human village on Kai's 7, built deep into the neutral Karak cluster. A rare crystal with a quantum anchor had been discovered beneath its surface. The Council's resource regulation protocol demanded negotiation, not seizure. But a Dreelan fleet arrived anyway. Frigates were dispatched, allegedly to safeguard the site. What Earth received was not dialogue, only static, broken distress calls, sensor pings, and then silence. A child's voice screaming, weeping beneath fire and ruin. Medical ships atomized in the corridor. The colony AI overridden, security protocols locked thousands inside as the containment domes burst. The screams were reduced to echoes. Earth's diplomats sought answers. The Council responded with one line from Commander Trevik of the Dreelan. Collateral damage, regrettable. Earth didn't respond. Not with words, not immediately. They simply went quiet. No diplomatic channels, no trade signals. Even pirates noticed the silence. Human ships vanished from the periphery routes. But behind that quiet, something moved. An ancient agitation buried under centuries of diplomacy and culture. Humans called it ignition, a protocol Earth Defense voted unanimously to activate. Something that had never been done, not during the Martian independence movement, not during the Europa water riots, not even during the Unification Wars. Within 27 minutes, the vote passed. All gray and black ops were declassified. Old war protocols reawakened. Generals from another age returned. Dormant funding channels screamed back to life. Accounts untouched in 80 years. Colonies didn't respond with anger, but with fear. In Neptune's orbit, under the silent arches, a message lit the sky like sunfire. We don't forgive you for this. No edits, no censorship, just raw, unfiltered footage. Children clawing at locked bay doors. Medical drones crushed trying to lift sealed hatches. Wounded bodies outside the blast radius. The truth without narrative or spin. And then silence. The Council had miscalculated. They believed humans feared conflict, that our bodies were too fragile, our souls too brittle. That unity was impossible for a species with so many creeds and languages. They had never seen what happens when despair turns peace into kindling. For the first time, the stars took notice. Pirate guilds distanced themselves from human zones. Commerce cartels redacted Earth from logs. Neutral AIs raised red flags. Something was shifting. A 4% probability turned to 10, then 16. No one knew what Earth would do next. Not even Earth. But one thing was certain, the warning had been ignored. The response, when it came, wasn't loud. It wasn't even immediate. Within 72 hours, Earth began a full-spectrum withdrawal. Trade routes went dark. Quantum relays powered down. Carriers vanished. Their courses scrambled. Earth was gone. And then came Novark. No declaration. No build-up. Just silence and then an energy surge too brief to track. Surveillance drones caught only a silhouette, no thrusters, no signs of life. But the message was clear: precision removal. Week 5. More Council installations blinked out silent. Sensor arrays, defense drone bays disabled. Listening posts buried in asteroid fields, gone. No survivors, no trace. The Council grew afraid. Emergency meetings were called. Proposals were made. Sanctions passed. Military advisors warned escalation was exponential. This was not rogue actors, not retaliation. This was coordination, cohesion. War without a declaration. Human fleets didn't attack. They infiltrated. Frigates disguised as derelict trash. Awakened AIs emerged, silent, loyal, waiting. They began real-time transmissions from asteroid fields. No Earth-based commands, just nodes dormant for decades, activating in perfect sequence. Colonies were only told what they needed to know. Units received orders that seemed isolated until you saw the pattern. The Council never saw the design. A strategy of controlled chaos, decentralized command, strategic unpredictability. This wasn't vengeance, it was calculus. Human strike teams didn't target fleets. They hit supply scaffolds, data depots, fuel hubs. They didn't destroy, they denied. Planets withered from within, not because of weapons, but because the supports were gone. No fleet declared war, but the Council felt the war begin. Planets refused to send convoys. Routes changed. Merchant quotas vanished. Autonomous AI hubs flagged asymmetric conflict. No armies fought, but the Council systems began to fail. Each day, Earth released a new message. Not a threat, a record. Chi 7, unedited logs broadcast across all frequencies. The cries of the dying. A child's final words. If anyone hears this, the dome failed. Tell them we mattered. It wasn't a plea. It was a sentence. And Earth wasn't seeking land, not conquest, not revenge. They were proving a theory. People don't start wars for glory. They finish them so no one forgets why. Too late, the Council tried to regain control. Fleets were dispatched, diplomats sent to fringe systems, but fear had already taken root. Worlds, once loyal, began signing private deals, defense contracts, requests for human advisors. But Earth wasn't interested. This wasn't a military campaign, it was a shift. Graves 9, the Council's elite task force sent to intercept a suspected human base, never engaged. 3 days later, the facility was found empty. No damage, no combat, just erasure. Power rerouted, communications severed, transport ships pre-launched. No alarms, no bodies, no resistance. The Council didn't even know they'd lost. This wasn't retaliation, this was removal. One by one, intelligence hubs went dark. Supply chains faltered. Trusted allies withdrew. The human hand wasn't always visible, but the results were undeniable. Every outage, every delay, every silence became suspect. Trust shattered, and Earth didn't say a word. Kai's, once a symbol of unity, was blockaded, and from the ashes came something new. Billions of humans united not in hatred, but in memory. They rebuilt not with weapons, but with science. AI-driven agriculture, recon drones, databanks filled with history and art, students broadcasting to the stars, civilians coding logistics for fleets they would never see. And in the end, the Council realized too late, it was never about domination. It was about remembrance, because when humanity strikes back, it does not scream. It whispers, so the galaxy never forgets. It wasn't propaganda, it was logistics. The reason Earth's governmental system changed, legislative arguments were replaced. Joint emergency sessions took their place. Colonial leaders functioned with complete transparency. Especially in the case of rival countries, ideologically divided, they started sharing military information from previously restricted firewalls. But planetary alignment was never accomplished, not through diplomacy alone. War preparations began, but a species functioning as a single council believed that Earth's unity wasn't a default, it was its strongest state. At that time, Earth was united around loss. Then came the evidence dump. Documents leaked, found, within the black box of a Dreelan cruiser destroyed. They were sent to the Council anonymously. In chambers, the documents confirmed the attack on Kai 7 had been approved, not through malice, but by vote. A closed session, hidden away. Ledger. Records revealed the rationale: strategic management of the resource. Civilian presence had been considered a reasonable risk. The fallout was instantaneous. Confidence in the Council disbanded. Creatures once devoted to Dreelan leadership began to distance themselves. Protests broke out on the Outer Rim. Trade. Unions across worlds refused contracts linked to Council directives. Cracked, Earth, still holding the appearance of legitimacy, didn't issue demands.